In last week's episode, we spaced out, so to speak. So this week, I'd like to bring us back down to earth. In an odd request that may go unfulfilled by many, and that's okay. If at all possible, it is my desire that you listen to this episode without your device in hand, that you are not currently looking at a screen. In fact, I'd like to suggest that the best place for you to listen to this episode is outside. Somewhere quiet, still, where you have direct contact with the earth under you. Perhaps lying on a blanket feeling the cool autumn breeze. Maybe walking along a wooded path, smelling the leaves that have now fallen and break down beneath your feet. Whether under the stars or under the sun, I hope you enjoy contemplating life's thought-provoking questions with me today in this episode of Curious Minds, Infinite Answers. Welcome, humans, and any celestial body else out there listening. This is Curious Minds, Infinite Answers. I'm your host, Courtney Christine Koskin. This podcast, simply put, is a mix of human curiosity and how, with the help of AI technology, curious minds can get the answers we seek. Let's get mind-bending and plunge deep beneath the surface of our everyday thoughts. Let's begin. Today, we're diving into something we all experience but might not think about too often. The many ways in which the increasing presence of technology, AI, and even robotics in our everyday lives affects us physically, and I mean on a cellular level. In much of the world we live in, we're surrounded by technology: TVs, smartphones, laptops, virtual assistants, digital billboards, and now AI-driven systems that make our lives more efficient. Man, we've come far. I think Vermont-based singer-songwriter Mihaly puts it best.
They can see us now from way back then. Would it look like hell or digital heaven? Yeah.
Thanks, Mihaly. Gosh, I love you. And personally, I think it's a toss-up. Every company, big and small, adopts the technologies that keep us relevant into the future. Otherwise, they're getting left behind. And if that's not enough to process, we can't forget about the very real and very imminent introduction of robots into our society. Very soon, the Optimus humanoid robot owned by Elon Musk's Tesla company will be revolutionizing the world as we know it. Capabilities of the robot are said to include walking your dog, watching your kids, getting the groceries from the car, mowing your lawn, and pouring your drinks. The Optimus humanoid robot is forecast to be sold and available to households by 2027. This is either exciting or terrifying, depending on how you feel about coexisting with robots. So how does all this constant technological exposure affect us beneath the surface? Let's start with a look at how our bodies react to technology. On the most basic level, our bodies are made up of trillions of cells, constantly communicating through electrical impulses. When we surround ourselves with artificial devices, many of which emit electromagnetic fields, or EMFs, our cells can be overstimulated. This overstimulation is subtle, but long-term exposure can lead to fatigue, disruption of sleep cycles, and mental exhaustion. Let's break down what is meant by long-term exposure, just so we have a better idea of what we're talking about here. In the context of electromagnetic field exposure, all the gadgets, long-term exposure generally refers to a period of consistent and prolonged use over months or years. Here's what it might look like. People who work in front of screens or use devices like smartphones, tablets, or laptops for 6+ hours every day, typically for work or leisure. This, as well as chronic exposure, which refers to the proximity or how close or far away you are from the sources of EMFs, like Wi-Fi routers, cell phones, or other devices that emit low-level radiation. This includes while you're sleeping if devices are kept nearby. Studies around EMF exposure often look at periods of 5 to 10 years or longer when evaluating the potential health impacts, particularly for conditions like sleep disturbances, mental fatigue, or more significant long-term health concerns. Makes you wonder if we should all go back to the analog alarm clock system and completely turn off our devices that are usually within arm's reach as we sleep. But would that even help? Apparently, yes, it would. Turning off devices or keeping them out of the bedroom would significantly reduce the prolonged exposure, allowing your body to rest and repair without interference. Devices like smartphones, Wi-Fi routers, and other electronics emit EMFs even when they're not actively being used. Keeping them near your head or body during sleep means you're exposed to these fields for hours at a time. While both devices produce some EMF, a cell phone emits much higher levels due to its radio frequency capabilities used for cellular communication, making the analog clock the considerably lower EMF option. I wonder what our HOA policy says about owning roosters. Anyway, where were we? Recent studies suggest that being constantly connected to devices can increase stress on our nervous systems. We're glued to screens, processing information at a rate much faster than nature intended. And while humans are remarkably adaptable, it would take us thousands of years in the realm of evolution to get to a point where our brains are firing on all healthy cylinders. It's unlikely that humans will ever fully adapt to the demands of screen-based environments in the way we've adapted to, say, walking upright or eating a varied diet. Our bodies are fundamentally wired for natural rhythms, like daylight, physical movement, and face-to-face social interaction. Technology disrupts these patterns in ways that are not easily reconciled with our biology. So what's actually happening during this prolonged exposure? The constant state of hyperactivity affects our brain chemistry, increasing the release of cortisol, the stress hormone, which, in turn, can lead to a weakened immune system and reduced cellular regeneration. This begs the question, then, could this also be a leading indicator as to why so many people are experiencing anxiety and mental health issues on levels never before recorded? Evidence unequivocally points to yes. We'll discuss that in just a minute. Okay, so here we are, living in this digital age in the timeline of humanity. We must live in it, but my question is this: how can we better exist in it? Our bodies evolved to be in rhythm with nature, exposure to sunlight, movement, natural patterns. But the more we rely on technology and automation, the more we stray from the natural harmony. And as has been pointed out, it's not just our bodies, but our mental health also suffers. Being immersed in artificial environments can overstimulate our sensory pathways, leading to anxiety and even depression in some cases. This is often referred to as nature deficit disorder. The term was coined by journalist Richard Liu in 2005 in his book, Last Child in the Woods: Saving Our Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. While NDD is not a medical diagnosis, it has become a rallying cry for connecting people to nature. I'd like to pose a question to you all listening that's come up many times before, but begs reconsidering from time to time. Have you noticed that the more time you spend on your devices, the more disconnected you feel? I know I do. The following are studies and surveys from recent years that indicate a significant increase in anxiety disorders and general anxiety levels across not just our own population, but many populations worldwide, and why it is so important to be cognizant of the things we can do to lower influence of induced anxiety. Dear listener, if you're not in a place mentally to go through this exhibit, fast forward to minute around 9.5. It is completely understandable. We get enough information ambush of the negative kind that trigger our anxieties. I do not wish to be a part of intentionally adding to that. I promise you, though, in this episode, you will see the glass-half-full moments come to life. It's not all doom and gloom. Concerning social media and technology, there is strong evidence that social media use and the constant connectivity to technology are contributing to higher rates of anxiety in younger populations. The pressure to maintain online personas, fear of missing out, and cyberbullying are all contributing factors. The World Health Organization has reported that anxiety disorders are among the most common mental health issues globally, affecting millions of people. In fact, mental health conditions, including anxiety, have been on the rise in both developed and developing countries. The global COVID-19 pandemic further fueled anxiety levels due to isolation, the unknown, health concerns, domestic conflicts, and financial insecurity. According to a 2022 study, the global prevalence of anxiety and depression increased by 25% in the first year of the pandemic. Studies show that younger generations, particularly millennials and Gen Z, are reporting the highest levels of anxiety. Gen Z, in particular, has reported the highest levels of anxiety compared to previous generations. Gen Z are the people born between 1996 and 2010. also known as the first generation to grow up with the internet, and are often referred to as digital natives. There's also a rising cost of living, the pressure of student loan debt, and career uncertainty. The constant bombardment of news, often negative or fear-inducing. People are exposed to global crises, disasters, and political conflicts in real time, which can induce a sense of helplessness and stress. The modern work environment is more demanding than ever, with the expectation to be always on due to digital connectivity. Many workers face burnout and stress from increased workloads and reduced work-life balance, leading to higher anxiety levels. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, anxiety disorders affect nearly 40 million adults in the U.S. annually, and this number continues to rise. The prescription rates for anti-anxiety medications and antidepressants have also significantly increased over the past 2 decades. This suggests that more people are seeking treatment for anxiety-related conditions. In conclusion there, yes, people today are experiencing higher levels of anxiety than ever before. The combination of modern stressors, increased digital connectivity, and a more open culture around mental health discussions has contributed to the rise. While some of these factors are positive, like better awareness and treatment options, the modern lifestyle, with its constant demands and lack of balance, which is sad that it's just not built into our culture, seems to be fueling this anxiety epidemic. By embracing the best of both worlds, using technology to enhance our lives while staying grounded in the natural rhythms of life, humanity could find a renewed sense of purpose. In the worst-case scenario, where humanity is completely removed from nature, we would see increased physical and mental health issues, social disconnection, environmental collapse, diminished senses and awareness, and loss of meaning and purpose. Now, let's take a look at the best-case scenario. Balancing technology with nature. We would likely see optimal health and well-being, stronger communities and social bonds, environmental responsibility, enhanced creativity and focus, greater sense of purpose and fulfillment. Living harmoniously with technology and nature would allow us to thrive physically, mentally, and spiritually, bringing more meaning and balance to our lives. So the next question is this: if the direction of technology is pulling us away from nature, how do we stay grounded and maintain that balance our bodies so desperately need? And on that note, let's explore a brighter side, a possible solution, or at least something to balance the scales. What it boils down to is so simple: staying close to nature and reconnecting to the earth at all costs. There's a lot of research that shows how what's called grounding or earthing ourselves can have a huge impact on our cells. Often referred to as the Earth's energy or grounding energy, it plays a fascinating role in human health. When your body makes direct contact with the Earth, it essentially downloads free electrons from the planet's surface into your body. Let's pause here for a second and dissect that so we better understand. The Earth has a natural electric charge, which is mostly negative. Our bodies have a positive charge, and these charges are often associated with harmful particles, like free radicals, which can cause damage to cells and contribute to health issues like inflammation. So the Earth is producing this negative charge, which means it has an abundance of negatively charged particles called electrons. These electrons are always present on the surface of the planet, in things like the ground, plants, trees, and even bodies of water. When we say free electrons, we're talking about these electrons that are loosely bound to the surface of the Earth, making them available to be absorbed by anything that comes into direct contact with the ground, like when you walk barefoot, sit on the grass, or touch a tree. Yeah, so we can stop hating on the tree huggers. They got it right. These free electrons are important because they can act as antioxidants, which help neutralize harmful positive charges, or free radicals, in our bodies. By connecting with the Earth, through what we call grounding or earthing, we allow these free electrons to flow into our bodies. So in simple terms, free electrons are tiny, negatively charged particles naturally found on the Earth's surface. When we make physical contact with the Earth, we absorb these electrons and they can have positive effects on our health. Here's some examples of how we can connect with this charge. Walking barefoot on natural surfaces like grass, soil, sand, or even in water, especially ocean water. Sitting or lying on the ground, particularly in environments like parks, beaches, or forests. Swimming in natural bodies of water like oceans, lakes, and rivers, which are naturally conductive environments full of beneficial ions. So, if we're all outside absorbing the Earth's charge, how can we see the effects physically? The health benefits are pretty incredible. Number 1, reduced inflammation and oxidative stress. One of the most significant benefits of grounding is its ability to reduce inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation is a key contributor to many diseases, from heart disease to autoimmune disorders. The free electrons we absorb from the Earth neutralize the positively charged free radicals that cause cellular damage and inflammation, acting like natural antioxidants. Number 2, improved sleep and circadian rhythms. Grounding has been shown to help regulate our circadian rhythms, our body's internal clock that governs sleep-wake cycles. Exposure to artificial light and EMFs can disrupt melatonin production, leading to poor sleep quality. Grounding helps reset the body's natural rhythms by harmonizing us with the Earth's natural electromagnetic frequency. This leads to better sleep, more rest, and improved overall recovery. Number 3, reduction of stress and anxiety. Connecting with the Earth's natural charge has a profound effect on our nervous system. The absorption of electrons helps to stabilize the automatic nervous system, promoting relaxation and reducing the body's stress response. Studies have shown that grounding can lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, reduce anxiety, and help individuals feel calmer and more centered. The list goes on, from improved circulation and energy levels to enhanced healing and recovery and better mental clarity and emotional stability. Being connected to the Earth's energy promotes a sense of clarity and mental calm. Grounding reduces overstimulation of the brain, which is often a result of the constant digital engagement and sensory overload of modern life. By calming the nervous system and reducing brainwave activity associated with stress, grounding can help people think more clearly, stay focused, and experience greater emotional balance. Although grounding has been a practice for thousands of years, modern science is beginning to explore its real-world health benefits. If you'd like to take a deeper dive here, Dr. James L. Oshman, a biophysicist and a leading researcher in the field of energy medicine, has published papers showing how grounding has the potential to positively affect overall health and well-being. I highly recommend it. There are some fascinating studies conducted, further proving the positive effects of grounding. There's something beautiful and almost primal about walking barefoot on the Earth, letting your body recharge the way it was designed to, just like our ancestors, who lived with nature, not apart from it. Now, I'm not saying to go off-grid and bid farewell to Uber Eats and indoor plumbing, but I think the lesson here is that no matter how advanced we get with technology or how thick the soles of our shoes are, our bodies will always need to return to the Earth. In our world, we are constantly plugged into technology. It's important to take that step back and remind ourselves that connection to the Earth is vital. It's about finding the balance, using technology for its benefits, but not letting it control our lives. If we could just force ourselves to make time to create space for natural rhythms and grounding practices. After all, our very health depends on it. So greet the sunrise. Go for that walk mid-workday. Start a garden or maybe even start a community garden. Bask in the sun. And when possible, practice grounding by walking barefoot or simply lying in the grass. It's a small act with big benefits. As we move forward, there's no denying that technology is an inevitable part of our lives, but living with it doesn't have to come at the cost of our well-being. By consciously and intentionally striking a balance, we can embrace the future without losing touch with what makes us truly live a life we'll enjoy living. I don't reject technology. I'm actually thrilled about the endless possibilities. And while I realize this episode may be audio waves of contradiction as you listen through something giving off EMF, and if you ever took a general science class, this is probably all just a refresher. I hope that it at least sheds some light on what we as humans can do to maintain a sort of balance the way nature intended. No, it's okay to unplug. You have the natural power to turn off the artificial power. Stay curious and listen closely as your body signals you. Thank you for tuning in to Curious Minds, Infinite Answers. I'm Courtney Christine Koskin, and I hope you'll join me for next week's episode as we proceed down the path of curiosity and discovery, uncovering various topics along the way. If you have any comments or want answers to your burning curiosities, drop me a line in the comments below. Until we meet again, find the good in the world, and if you can't find it, be the good.